Hello there and welcome, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the top 10 most amazing Ark teams. So without wasting any more time, without further ado, let's get straight into it. In at number 10 we've got the Wyverns, and I'm putting this creature here because everyone realistically does use the UT in a given boss battle scenario. You'll use it with that roar that it has, which essentially buffs your own creatures up, and also they will take less damage. It is called the courage roar, and they also do have a fear roar as well, although that's not really commonly used as it does have a size limit. But still, if someone's trying to raid your base on a Pteranodon, you can actually use that fear roar, and that player will lose complete control of the flyer that they're riding, or it could be a glider in the case if maybe they're on one of those smaller other gliders. Just some nice PvP tips for you people out there if you know you're in need of that, because sometimes you might be in a scenario where you have a UT and you need to get a Pteranodon away from your base with an enemy player on it. Just simply use that fear roar. But I also find they're great general carnivores as well. They have quite a lot of speed and mobility on them, which you don't really get on a Rex. Yes, the Rex is a great boss creature, but still it doesn't really stand. It's one of those amazing Ark claims for me because it's not really as versatile, and some people might forget about the UT apart from those other that boss use, of course, that I already mentioned, because you really can get a lot out of this creature, and it just people generally don't, and that's what I don't like about this creature, or what I don't like the outlook on this creature. People don't really use it as much as they should in their uses that I think it really works in. So continuing on, we've got the Crystal Wyvern, and this could be of any variety, just whichever one you find preferable. For me, it is the Blood Crystal Wyvern. I know there isn't a Blood Crystal Wyvern here, this is simply just a tropical one, but I know a lot of you down in the comments have been really liking the Ember Crystal Wyverns, and I do definitely agree with that. They are quite a nice Wyvern to have, and the reason why I say these are so much more amazing than just the regular old Wyvern is I find there's a lot more variety, and also just generally they have nicer special abilities. Yes, breathing fire or lightning or poison or ice is still definitely something cool and useful, but they're a lot more inventive with the Crystal Wyvern abilities, and I find, considering just how easy they are to tame compared to the normal Wyvern, it really is a no-brainer just to get these instead. Yes, they are locked behind kind of a level 60 barrier, and you need to get that primal crystal, so you need to knock out a Crystal Wyvern first, but I don't find that to be too much of an issue when taming these things. I really don't struggle with it as much as raiding a Wyvern trench. And yes, you can do it with a Field Hawk, and it's not the hardest thing in the world. You can do it with the Griffin relatively easily as well. But then you've also got to go through the whole raising process, and really it's a lot of time and effort you have to put into it, especially on official. Whereas with these creatures, yes, maybe getting to the level 60 might be a little bit of a challenge, but as soon as that passive tame is finished with that primal crystal, you've got yourself one of these things, and they really are just great flyers to have. It's 100% worth getting one. So the Snow Owl, I find, often is very much used, but also not often talked about in a way, because I find that yes, loads of people use this thing, but they don't talk about it as much as they should, just considering how great this creature is. As some might say, well, there's just simply better creatures out there, and I will agree, it's not the cream of the crop, it's not the best Ark creature out there, but it definitely is one of those most amazing ones in my opinion. But obviously, considering that we're only in the number 8 spot, there is still going to be a lot more to come with this creature. Namely, they do have the dive bomb ability, which you can also find on the Desmodus and the Griffin, a terrific ability which I really do love, as it vastly increases the speed that a flyer can travel at, even if they're just general coasting in terms of their flying is not the fastest. If the RG had this ability, it would be absolutely insane. The RG is actually later on in the list, by the way, if you're wondering about that thing. They also do have, not the RG, the Snow Owl in this case, you can probably tell that already. They have a heat-seeking UV ability where, you know, you can spot out and scout out any creature. Just apply this to what you really think it would be, and also they can heal any kind of creature as well, that being your own creatures, wild creatures, or tamed ones. It goes around full circle. And also this is really useful as well if you're knocking out a wild creature and yeah, its health is simply too low. You've pumped so many tranks into it, that its health is really low, but also it's still not knocked out yet. And sometimes you might get this on some wrecks, as if they've been battling stuff before, their health is already quite low, and you start knocking them out and it really gets to a stage where you can't put any more tranks into them. Then simply use one of these things to heal them back up, and you will not regret the benefits of this, because then their torpor won't go down so much where you have to wait. And also sometimes if you go out of render distance on single player, this actually always happens on single player, if you go out of render, they're not going to keep healing up on servers. You can maybe just log off and then log back on, but so there's a little bit of inconvenience in that. Obviously you can also just heal up your own creatures as well in whatever situation that you might find yourself in. But also the snow owl pellets can be used a lot for getting great loot out of gadgets. I feel like I said also a lot on that, but anyway, continuing on with the list. So in at number 7 we've got the Reaper. It feels a little bit weird to be putting this creature in at number 7, but considering I don't really use it as much, and yes, it really fits into its map perfectly and all of that, I kind of have to degrade it slightly where it is on the list, because personally I am also factoring just generally how amazing these creatures are to use and how often I kind of use them as well. Yes, I'm slightly shifting the word around a bit, as you could say, well, this is amazing creature to tame, and it's truly amazing because it deals loads of damage and it just really is a great creature to have. But personally it's not one of my favorites in regard of just general use. Yes, I'll use it tons on a map like Arboration, or on Gen 2 as well. I use it a fair bit considering they spawn on the map, but I don't tend to transfer these across maps just to use one of these things. I don't like them quite that much, although there is really no better feeling than taming a Reaper for the first time, especially on Arboration, because there is a long process in it, and it would be a big shame to not include them on the list, considering just how cool and amazing they look, just how great they are as creatures. They deal tons of damage, they really do pack a lot of punch, and they can travel quite far as well, almost maybe as far as a Carcanos can throw some kind of dodo or Lissasaurus. That's another pretty amazing creature as well, although it is not making the list today, but I guess it got a little brief honourable mention. In this list, the Shadowmane really did need to be talked about. Come on, this creature is packed full of all kinds of abilities. It does deserve to be here. Firstly, it is an extremely mobile creature for its size, and yes, while the Thyla does a similar sort of thing, in a way it doesn't really compare to the amount of height that you can get out of this thing. There is a serious amount of mobility withheld, and yes, it cannot climb any kind of wall or vertical surface. Once you see this jump in the B-roll here, you will realise that you're never gonna need any of that. It can really jump to insane heights, and it's actually still a little bit crazy to me every time I do it, because although these are amazing creatures, I don't actually use these the most often. I've kind of come off them a little bit recently, but I've also kind of been coming off Ark a bit recently. I haven't really been playing a lot since ASA came out, really, actually, because I've kind of been put off because of the game a little bit. They're also really great underwater tames though, and they have the hydration buff, they can go invisible, they have the pack buff, they're great for bosses, and they have natural armor too. The only real not amazing thing about them is just the horrible taming method, which I will still never like to this day. In at number 5 we've got the Baryonyx. This creature definitely does deserve to be here. It is my all-time favourite caving creature, and it really does have a lot going for it, namely obviously that caving ability, which basically means it is the perfect size to fit into any cave, and with that size as well, it also packs enough punch. Also, don't mind about all the dead creatures that you're probably seeing around the map. You'll see a dead Yuti later in this B-roll. I heard someone wondering about that last time. Yes, the B-rolls are recorded within quick succession, and after I'm done with the B-roll, the creatures do sadly die with a command, which I'm pretty sure it's just kill, isn't it? That's the command you put in to kill creatures. Also, on top of that as well, these are really fast, speedy creatures, and they're great in the water too, with that spin attack on the right click as well. You can summon creatures up to the size of a Megalodon, which just generally makes them quite good for underwater caving as well. They're already great just for regular caving, but now for underwater caving too. Well, they have been for a while, ever since they released, because they are just generally really great underwater tames. Some people don't really like them as much, as they say they only really eat fish, and fish is a bit of an annoying thing to get. Coelacanths are absolutely everywhere if you know where to look for them. That really is not an issue which you should be running into. So the Desmodus is one of those creatures where it has to be on an amazing creatures list. Not only can it make Sanguine Elixir, which is an absolute feat for doing any kind of tames, essentially doing 30% of it for you with a click of a button, they are also blood bag farms, and also you can just with that tame even more Desmoduses and also Bloodstalkers. And I'm going to give the Bloodstalker an honourable mention here as well, as it really is truly an amazing creature for me. I just couldn't find a place to fit it on the list today, so I didn't, but personally I would say it deserves to be in the realms of the number 5 to number 3 spot, and it really does, in my opinion, deserve to be here. It's just there's some other creatures which I think deserve it slightly more, and I put them there instead, but I decided I'd talk about it a little bit because it's really just a great underwater mount and I love it so much. It's generally a great travel mount. It's really cool model design, generally amazing creatures to use. Once you've got over the learning curve of controlling one, they are fabulous. Now just a little brief thing to finish on the Desmodus. They are also gliders. They can grip onto any kind of wall, vertical surface like the Tapijara, even just ceilings, and they can pick players off mounts with absolute ease for you PvP players out there. Now the RG has always been an all-time favourite of mine, so I had to include it in at the number 3 spot on the list. This creature has driven me through many years of Ark, and at this point almost a decade. These creatures are just one of my favourites, and although there are some slightly better creatures for travel and just with general amazingness in the RG, they really do deserve to be on here for their massive contribution to my Ark playing over the years. I always get so much nostalgia when riding an RG as well, or just when watching videos of people on RGs, and especially that old RG model. Yes, albeit a lot worse than the new one, has a lot of nostalgia in it. Either way, the RG is like the best metal carrier out there, having weight reduction on things like metal, crystal, and obsidian. I'm pretty sure it's 50%, although my numbers can be a little bit out to date sometimes because I'm not really playing a lot of Ark at the moment. Like I have said, ever since ASA came out, I've just been a little bit off put by Ark in general. But they can also pick up tons of creatures as well, which really does play to their benefit. You pair them with an Anki and a Dodic, you can get loads of metal, stone, crystal, obsidian, all of those resources which you really do need. They also have a smithy as a saddle, so if you've ever done some caving, which I like to do a lot, then you can just repair your armor if those pesky ass players have got it, or if any of your pikes or gear or swords or things like that have been broken. You can easily repair them as long as you've got some metal ingots inside of the RG, because I don't like to go back to my base just to repair some armor because I usually do caves in quick succession. And they also have a nice healing regen thing. In at number 2 we've got the Maewing, and this is really the king of travel, and it only just scrapes past the RG. I was tempted to put the RG in at the number 2 spot because of just how amazing that creature is, but the Maewing is just so much more amazing at speed and ease of travel that it needs to be here, as a lot of the recent Ark playing that I've done, or the scarcity of recent Ark playing that I've been doing, has been just generally a lot of travelling and exploring maps. I know it's not really the thing that you're going to be doing the most, but travelling from A to B is definitely something which you're going to need to do in Ark a lot, and that this really is the best creature out there for it. It's so quick, so mobile, so easy to use once you've just got over that first general learning curve, and it can be used really on any map and it works just fantastically. Yes, on Arboration a Rock Drake is going to do better, but they really don't need a lot of elevation to work like the Rock Drake does, which is obviously why they're much more of a favourite when it comes to travel. They can also skim across the top of the water, they're pretty good swimmers as well. They also are a portable feeding trough for you breeders out there, and they're not the worst berry gatherers too, so you've really got a lot of abilities in one. And considering the saddle unlocks at level 18, it is really a no-brainer to put them in at the number 2 spot. And at number 1 is the Deinonychus, and this always tops my list. I don't know what it is for me, but I do know what it is because I put it here. I don't know why. I've said that twice on some lists now. But this creature is just so good as a boss creature, and so good as a general travel mount. Yes, maybe not as great as the Maewing. I've been using the Maewing a lot recently, but I've still been using the Deinonychus a lot just for land travel and a bit more deeper and in-depth exploration instead of just flying around the map just like a madman. They also can grapple onto creatures and deal tons of bleed damage to them, which is obviously extremely useful especially in boss fights, as it actually still does bleed damage to bosses, which as far as I'm concerned, no other Ark creature does. They also have the pack buff as well, which again is going to boost them even more in boss fighting scenarios. They really are the go-to for that. Unless you're on extinction, then use a Giga or a Carcharodontaurus. Probably Carcharodontaurus, because their health is a lot more reliable, as they do not have the rage buff. Again, they're two great, amazing creatures as well, and the Giga has really been through a lot with me, and I guess I'll give it a brief honourable mention here as well, because they really do deserve in this list somewhere, except I just couldn't really find a place considering all the other creatures that I put on this list instead, because I just find all of those to be more amazing to me. Also, the Deinonychus on top of this takes no fall damage whatsoever, and it can climb up any kind of wall or vertical surface like the Thyla can. Not quite as elegant as a solution, but I still really don't mind it whatsoever, and it works perfectly for me. This is the most amazing Ark creature out there, with no doubts. In at number 10, we have the Crystal Wyvern. And the reason why I'm putting this thing here and not the normal Wyvern, or just the Wyvern in general, which a lot of people probably would have put on this list for many reasons. The Wyvern is definitely a very influential creature in terms of what it did for the Ark franchise and its tame method and all of that, but the Crystal Wyvern, in my opinion, is just the superior one, with just the normal like watery one, and the Blood Crystal Wyvern, which is my preferred. The Blood Crystal Wyvern is obviously not the one in the B-roll, because this one looks more Crystal Wyvern-y, so that's why this one made the B-roll. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the fact that they are so easy to tame, although yes, you do have to knock out a Wyvern to get the Primal Crystal, or you have to kill it. I think it's knockout though. I'm pretty sure it's knockout. Haven't tamed one of these things in a bit. And you also need a level 65 to actually tame one of these things. Although I don't really find that to be too huge a requirement, considering their power, and on Crystal Isles this will often be my first flyer. Even before a Pteranodon, I will get this thing, and sometimes it is even my first tame. Like, honestly, I'll just tame nothing and get this thing, and then I will gladly enjoy this creature. So that is why I put it in at the number 10 spot. Next up, we've got the Mantis, and I've had to put this creature here. Come on, this creature is one of those creatures where when I look at the Mantis, I look at how fluent it is in all of its abilities and just how unique and great its abilities are, it obviously does have to make the list. Like, come on, it's the Mantis. This thing can wield any kind of melee weapon, not including tech weapons, of course, and this allows it to be just such a great, versatile, useful creature. And the fact that it came out on Scorched Earth, it was really a huge helping hand on that DLC map, and I often transfer them back onto the island if transferring was even, it must have been a thing back then. Either way, I've done it at some point. I must have. Either way, yeah, transferring happened, and I use these things on the island a lot as well, and obviously, you know, they're just really useful for gathering pretty much everything, which is obviously what you would use them for, so that's why the Mantis is here. Next up, we got the Rock Drake, and there's actually not a lot to say about this creature, as I'm sure pretty much all of you know what it is and know what it does. It is a creature which originally came on Operation, not sure what other maps it actually exists on. It did used to exist on Crystal Isles before it became a full map. Does the Rock Drake spawn on any other maps apart from Operation? Either way, it is an Operation creature, which came out in 2017. Seems like absolutely ages ago, and is capable of huge amounts of damage, and I'm pretty sure it was like the first glider, like rideable glider that you could get in Ark, which is actually a pretty impressive feat, as I'm definitely sure that had not been done before, unless Ragnarok came first. I'm trying to think of the chronology. It may have not been the first, but either way, it was definitely one of those originals, you could say, and they're an absolute cheese. If you do the Rockwell boss fight with them, like that boss fight is a cheese, not the Rock Drake, it's a cheese. They're not actually particularly easy to tame, and the tame method is pretty much the same as the Wyvern, which again, pretty cool for the time. Next up, we got the Velonosaur, and this is actually one of my favourites, as I've finished it now, but I played through Extinction again, and I was using this thing a lot, and you know, I really liked using this thing across it, and my opinion of this creature has vastly changed, and actually I did transfer one over from Gen 2, which was an Arvelosaur. It's just basically this, but upgraded. On top of that, just essentially is the next variant, but there's a different letter stuck on because it's a different map. And this being a portable turret, obviously I'm not really a PvP player, I'm a PvE player, but still, this being a portable turret allows me to attack creatures in a way that I've never really done before, and do combat in a way that I haven't done before, and I really enjoyed that new way of doing everything, and that's why I really like this creature. And again, it's kind of the perfect size creature for me. I don't really like really big great creatures and all of that. I prefer smaller ones. I don't know, it's just me, but that's why the Velonosaur's here. Next up, we have got the Snow Owl, and this creature obviously had to make the list. Come on, when you think of this creature, you do think of some of the best creatures in Ark, actually. At least that's what I do think, as this has the gliding ability like the Griffin, although it feels a lot smoother. And actually thinking about this, I kind of want to put the Desmodus here as well, so I am going to put the Desmodus here because I haven't put it on the list. The Desmodus is going on the list with the Snow Owl in at the number 6 spot, if you didn't know, because I didn't actually tell you. But in at number 6 we have the Snow Owl and the Desmodus. Desmodus. Either way, that thing can make Sanguine Elixir and can farm blood bags and all of that, so I really do enjoy that creature for that. But the Snow Owl obviously has the ability to glide, like I've just said, same as the Desmodus, but it can also kind of do a heat seeking ability, which plays a benefit in PvP and in PvEs. You can track down a player that might be trying to raid your base, or just a creature that you've lost. You also want to level up stamina on these things quite heavily, not just so they can fly longer distances, as the stamina drain is not really that high. It's so they can heal creatures for longer, as when healing creatures, their stamina will deplete, and you can probably tell from all of that. So that's why you'd use it for that case. And although they're not as fast as a Managama or all of that, I'm still perfectly happy with their speed and with their very unique and useful abilities. They really do have to make the list. Again, Desmodus as well, in at the number 6 spot. Next up, we got the Bloodstalker, and ironically I probably think that I should put the Desmodus here instead, but I've solidified it in the list now, and I kind of do prefer the Bloodstalker because of what it does. And I don't really use this thing for travel a lot, which people might say is well, what's the point then? This is my go-to water creature. This is my favourite underwater creature in Ark, no questions asked. It is just so versatile. It can skim over the top of the water. You can even see creatures under the water as well. It has that ability at its disposal, which kind of helps you if you want to see if danger's near. And it's a really good swimmer under the water as well. And of course I do use it for traveling things as well, although I might just dish out a Maewing or something for a lot of those things, as I'm just nice with that creature. Or I might actually use the Snow Owl to travel around. And there are some great other land suggestions as well, like Thylers and Deinonychuses, although the Thyler is not a DLC creature, so I'll speak no more of it. But yes, for me, this is my favourite underwater Ark creature, and that's why I've had to put this thing in on this list, in at the number 5 spot. At least I think count right. Yep, it's the number 5 spot, and I wonder if you agree too. Is this your favourite underwater tame, or do you have something else in mind? Now we've got the Reaper, and I had to include this thing here, and in my opinion it is far superior to the Rock Drake, and Rock Drake lovers may not agree with me on that one, but personally, from experience, the Reaper has always been the better tame over the Rock Drake. Just no questions asked whatsoever. This is my go-to Arboration creature. The reason for this is just mainly because that this thing tends to pack a lot in the damage department, and that is kind of useful for me. And unlike a creature like the Giga, it doesn't seem as big, and it really does fit into the Arboration aesthetic, and it is an absolute cheat to tame on Gen 2. So now I have absolutely loads of these things now, thanks to Raj Clark's tutorial. Not sure if Raj Clark came up with it actually. He might have. It might have been someone else. I'm not gonna say that Raj Clark's a fraud or anything, because I don't think he is at all. I'm just not sure of its origins, but I found it from Raj Clark, so let's just say Raj Clark made it, because actually in all fact he probably did. He is quite a highly valued art YouTuber among many, and including myself. And obviously with this Reaper's great aesthetic, great damage, and all those great features, and pretty unique taming methods requiring it to impregnate you, it had to make this list. In at number 3, we got the Maewing. Some people may not agree with this and say the Reaper's better than the Maewing, and you could probably say that, but in my opinion, the Maewing is my favourite travel mount out there, just no questions asked. Although yes, in some circumstances it's not going to be the best because that gliding ability isn't very suited to the environment, but for most things it will get by. Maybe not on all cases in maps like the island, although it does a lot better than the Rock Drake for gliding along flatter surfaces. Although you don't really have as much protection, as you can't just kind of fly away from everything. But they're not just an incredible glider, they also act as a portable feeding trough and can gather berries as well. And especially on Gen 2, obviously their home map, they're extremely useful for travelling around everywhere, and obviously in the space biome as well. It really does play to a huge benefit to have a creature like this, and you can see the slightly disturbing animation for the feeding trough thing. It's I don't really know what to say about that wildcard. In at number 2, we have the Deinonychus, and actually until recently I would have put this thing in at number 1, but I've had a slight rechange with my mind recently. I don't know, I've just been different, and my opinions of some things have drastically changed. Not saying that I hate the Deinonychus now, I still think it is an extremely incredible creature, and with that bleed ability, essentially it latching on to creatures and just tearing them to shreds, doing immense amounts of damage, and even to bosses as well. It's the only creature, as far as I'm concerned and as far as I know about, that can actually do that to bosses, and especially with a pack buff as well, and with no full damage and great mobility and the ability to kind of like parkour around the map. It really does play to their benefit hugely, although my opinions have shifted slightly to the creature in at number 1. Just kind of suits me more now than this creature. I'm a bit more chilled with my life in general and my Ark playing, so you know, I'm not all for the busy life of the Deinonychus. At this point I don't really know what I'm saying, but let's get into the number 1 creature now. And in at number 1 is the Shadowmane. And before I talk about all the good with this creature, I just want to say its taming method is awful and I hate it, and I wish Wildcard would change it, but you know, that's never going to happen. And you know, kind of going back on my previous thought there, I don't hate it as much now. That's more previous me, but I still definitely don't enjoy it. But the main things that really stand out for me is this creature's great mobility overall, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it has a pack buff as well. It must do. It has to, when I'm thinking about it. It has a hydration buff like the Spino. Sorry about that. I just I don't know. I ate something just before this video. Sorry about that. That seems a bit disgusting, sorry. But they're also great in the water, which is nice. I appreciate their waterness. I can't even speak anymore today. That's all I can say about this creature. So thank you to my wonderful patrons Ekaterina Puchkova, Karina Thorne, Dominic Masijewski, and Ethan Tapia, who have all supported me through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. If you want to join this list, then go join Patreon or YouTube members, but thanks to all of these guys.